Growing up, going to AstroWorld, Mayan Mindbender was tied as my all-time favorite coaster when I was a kid, with fellow AstroWorld coaster XLR8. Most will eye Wonderland in Amarillo for the unique Hopkins Coaster Texas Tornado, but a visit to this park was on my radar to get another ride on Mayan Mindbender, now Hornet. And although it is solidly a family coaster, it does crack my top 25 coasters in the state of Texas. Why do I love this coaster so much? Find out in this review. This coaster started its life in Canada, before being relocated to AstroWorld in 1995. When AstroWorld closed in 2005, this coaster was sold to Wonderland and reopened outdoors as Hornet. This is an MK700 model from Vekoma, which seems to be known as a family coaster that has inline seating. Other models can be seen relying heavily on helixes or winding through the woods. Both courses that would play very well with how these cars shake you about and use various mild forces nicely. Space Mountain in Taiwan is also an indoor coaster, as Hornet was originally designed to be. It does seem sad that this coaster doesn't have a true clone around the world, as most parks needing a solid family coaster could use a ride similar to this. Wonderland itself is an isolated amusement park in Amarillo, Texas, but the park itself is enjoyable, and it has routinely been ranked as the 4th best park in the Lone Star State. The flat ride collection is rather average, especially since the rare rides are currently closed awaiting parts. But for having only 4 roller coasters, this park rocks, with having coasters that appeal to both coaster enthusiasts and fans, and are enjoyable to get many, many laps on while at the park. Since Wonderland does not have a season pass, lines at this park will be short and operations will be great. Hornet did not have a rider minimum when I visited, as I got many rides all to myself, and the operator let me simply pick a new seat and ride again, though I have heard that the park can enforce a 7 or 8 rider minimum on this coaster. Normally, as long as families are in the park, this should not be hard to reach at all, though it can be a problem on a very quiet day when there are few families at the park, as was one of the days that I visited on the 4th of July. The coaster has a very long train. At first, I rode in the very back row, as guests tend to simply front load the train like they do on many coasters, and I came off believing that the forces back there, between the extra whip and the little bit of extra forces on the drops, was superior. But then, I got many rides in the front on my next day at the park, because it was so slow. And the front offers the best ride with nice jostling feelings over the various hills, and a bit of extra force on the turns and helixes, as the back rows are going to push you through these elements more. If you can't snag the front row from kids waiting patiently in line, the second and even the third row have very similar feelings as far as the forces go, but the front is just slightly superior in my opinion. As for operations, you might have to wait a small amount of time for this coaster, both because there is only one train, and because the kids and families boarding could take a while, or change their mind and try to ride in different seats. On my visit, row 5 was broken as well, which led to minor confusion by some trying to ride in it. With only one operator for this coaster, this ride could take a little longer to load than other coasters. But with the long trains, even if everyone sits one to a car, it should be more than enough to handle the crowd levels that this park sees. Hornet starts with a small turn from the station, followed by a tire-propelled lift hill. At the top, you turn to the right to give the rest of the train time to come off that lift hill, and then slowly go downwards to the right. After a 180-degree turn, going slightly down, you'll pop up into another 180-degree turn that is also kind of a hill. These hills don't offer any airtime or drop feelings, but do help rock the cars back and forth, similar to this being just like a good kiddie coaster, just on a bigger scale. After this turning hill, there's a small valley followed by a 540 degrees helix that mixes in small downward sections with an up section on the far turnaround, while you slowly go all the way down to the ground. At this point, you'll have a little bit of speed, so you'll feel some forces on the slow to the ground turn. Not really laterals per se with the banking, but just a nice mix of forces. Next follows a bunny hill that is banked sideways as you turn right. This leads into a 180-degree turning hill that immediately drops you into an S-bend that will give you another forceful low to the ground turn, this one going right. Then a small bunny hill in the middle of another S-bend, this one giving no traditional airtime, before turning around the course and into the final brake run. Overall, how good is Hornet? It did not reclaim the title of my all-time favorite coaster, but it does many, many things right, especially as a family coaster, while having few to no real traditional drops throughout the course of the ride. The power on the helixes and turns, along with the rocking back and forth, are something truly enjoyable on a coaster. I rank it right above Raptor Coaster at the Houston Rodeo. As a similar coaster to Runaway Mountain, I felt Raptor Coaster did not execute its elements as well, especially that fourth drop with it being outdoors. For those going at home, I do rank Runaway Mountain a few spots above Hornet, particularly because it has been running fantastic with its elements during some of the Christmas seasons that I've ridden it. I rank Hornet right below Black Hole Coaster at Dreamworld, as it offers a solid in-the-dark experience with its own unique shaking back and forth. Black Hole Coaster does have two minor drops that you can feel towards the end of the coaster, especially if you sit towards the back of the train, though the front offers the superior ride on Black Hole Coaster. Do you feel Hornet offers a very solid family coaster experience? Did you get to ride this coaster at AstroWorld? Let me know. And, as always, Kapkun Krap.